So I hear the birds, so many birds, but I haven't had my coffee yet this morning. I'm not a morning person, but I do get up really early. Such is life. So, I've heard people say that they grow herbs, but they don't know what to do with them. You read, oh, this is good for that, and that's good for this, and then you go out there, you throw your seeds in the garden, and you get these beautiful herbs, and then they just sit there and they rot away through the winter, or maybe you harvest them and they're just like hanging dry on the wall in your kitchen to look pretty, and you don't quite know what to do with them. But also, here's another thing. It's been raining and raining and raining. Like every friggin' day. I think we only had maybe 1 month where we had like kind of normal weather. Climate collapse, this is what's happening. So we have to be resilient. And I have my harvest of, so many herbs. I'll run out and try to harvest them when it's dry. You can't really harvest them when they're wet to dry. So that really breeds bacteria and mold and stuff. So you have to wait till it's dry. And luckily, it was not too rainy last night, and it's been dry a couple days. So I'm out here because I've been meaning to harvest my Tulsi, and I let it go way too long. But I've had a lot of things going on. So I've been meaning to get out here and harvest it. It's gone a little too long. I'm going to show you though. I'm going to harvest my Tulsi, and I'm going to make it into a product, even though it's a little wet and the Tulsi is fresh. I can still make an herb product that I can use for my family for the winter. So actually all year, because there's a lot of Tulsi. It grows, it's pretty abundant. Okay, so I'm going to show you this Tulsi. Here are a few of my Tulsi plants. There's some red clover back there. And the thing with Tulsi is that it's a basil. If you notice, it'll focus. These flowers look like basil flowers when you let basil go too long, right? What you're supposed to be doing before it ever gets to this place is you're supposed to be picking off these flower heads way before this. Like when they look like this, that's all basils. You're gonna be picking them before this stage even. But that's when they're gonna have the most flavor and the most potency medicinally. So anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick these because I let them go way too long, but that's totally okay, because what I'm gonna do is, instead of using them for tea, I'm gonna make a folk tradition tincture, which is very simple for you to make at home. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. First, I've got to pick all of this Tulsi. Now, fall is coming on, and the thing is, you don't want your herbs that you've been growing, you had this goal, you're going to grow yourself some herbs. Now, fall is coming, you don't want your herbs to die with the winter temperatures. You don't want them to go away, because a lot of these herbs are tender, and they might not come back. A few of them are perennial, but Tulsi is not. Tulsi won't come back. So if I don't harvest this, I'm going to lose all that hard work that I put into her. And Tulsi, the thing with her is that she is a cut and come again herb. And what that means is you're gonna continuously harvest this through the season. That's how all basils are that I've grown. They like you to come along and pick the good tops that you want for your food or medicine, and then they're going to grow again. So I'm giving this thing a heck of a haircut here, and it's going to look like I've just murdered this thing, and oh my gosh, is it going to come back? But she's going to keep going. She's going to keep on growing until winter frost hits her. So she's just going to keep cranking out these beautiful buds. And like I said, we're actually going to be picking them when they're small like this. So next time I'm not going to let it go so long, but I can still harvest this. Sorry about the car. I can still harvest this and make a tincture to use. And Tulsi, I haven't talked very much about Tulsi because this video is really about just getting out there, harvesting the herbs that you have spent so much time growing and getting them either dried or tinctured or made into some kind of medicine before they go away. I'm getting a harvest every single week. Look, there's a bumblebee. She's looking for the flowers, but sorry, I took them. Here's a tulsi that I picked over maybe 5 days ago, I guess. And it was really overgrown too, and see, like, I really cut it back. But notice, it's already time to harvest again. When it starts sending up the flower stalks like that, that's already past time. So I can't even keep up with it. It grows so fast. So here's all the tulsi that I harvested. That's a lot. That's like way more than I need. But look at this. There's another tender herb. My lemongrass is just like amazing this year. Wow. And that, like I said, that's tender too. So I'm going to have to harvest that before the frost also. But for that, I can wait until like a little bit longer. I don't have to. There are no flowers. Okay, let's go in the kitchen and make a tincture. If you want to learn more about herbalism and the driftless, be sure to hit subscribe and notify. Also, if you have any questions for me or comments or suggestions, be sure to leave those below. Okay, so you've got this big plant material, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it inside of vodka so that the vodka can pull out the constituents. But the thing is, the vodka also acts as a preservative for preventing bacteria and stuff like that to grow in your tincture. So we've got to get this as small as possible so that the surface area of the plant is magnified, multiplied, so the vodka can pull out the constituents. If you leave it like this, it's going to have a harder time leaching these constituents out of this plant. So you got to get it chopped up really small. And I use just a simple food processor. I pick them up at the secondhand store because I go through them a lot. And, you know, they last about a year but of hard use. But I buy a used one so I don't have to have a new one manufactured every time I'm going through them. So I'm going to just put these into here, feed them in here, and make them as small as possible. Okay, so now I've got all of this tulsi really chopped up fine. I mean, it's a mush. You see that? It's like total mush. And that's fine because I want it to have the ability, I want the vodka to have the ability to touch as much of that tulsi as possible to get those constituents out. You're not hurting the plant, you're not hurting the tincture by making plant tincture this way. This is the way that it's been done for a long time. That's why you have like things like mortars and pestles. It's to mash plants up as small as possible, plant materials, so that you can get the nutrients that you need out of them or the medicinal constituents that you need out of them. So it's okay that it looks like that. We're going to put that into this mason jar here, and then we're going to cover it with vodka. Filling mason jars a whole lot easier. If you're into canning, you already know about this little contraption, but it just makes everything easier. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into the jar. All of it probably will fit. And with a full tincture, what you're going to do is you're going to use vodka. You can find 100 proof vodka, that's great. If you can't find 100 proof vodka, you just have 80 proof vodka, that's fine too. But vodka is very mild, it doesn't have a strong flavor, and it's been used for tincturing for a really long time. It's just kind of a folk tradition standard, but you can also use brandy, things like that. It just needs to have a high enough alcohol content. Don't want to have anything lower than 80 because your alcohol volume to water ratio in this will not be high enough to kill the bacteria. It's got to be at least 25%. You just fill this up with vodka. This is not how I would make tinctures for my clients, this is a way to make them for home use. When I make them for clients, I'm measuring things really precise, and I'm just making sure that the alcohol volume is specifically a specific number that is beneficial to pulling the constituents out. It gets really scientific, it's really complex, and you don't need to understand any of that. You just need to know that you can put vodka into this jar. You want to make sure that all of the plant material is covered. And if you get a little too much in there, that's okay. It just means that your tincture won't be as strong. You just take a little bit more of it, but it's going to be strong anyway, so you don't really need to worry too much about that. I do it differently for clients because herbalists need to have a standard measure so that we can get dosages right. But for your home use, this is completely fine. You don't really need to measure. You just need to make sure that your plant material is covered. And at that point, it looks really full. So I'm going to put a little more vodka in it because all that plant material is kind of compressed by the blades. And I just want to make sure. That it's covered. It's not going to hurt anything. It would be worse to put too little vodka in here than too much. So you don't really have to worry about that. I have marked it for 6 weeks out. Tulsi, Folk Vodka 80 proof, 11, 10, 19. That's when I'm going to press this out. But every day I'm going to shake it. I'm going to walk by and I'm going to shake it. I've got a whole gallery of tinctures that I go along and shake every day.